First of all, David Brady is here. Our first guest ever wearing cufflinks, I think.
I'd say Milesy would be a cufflink man as well, yeah. Really? Anthony, yeah.
How good? How good does he look there? Jeez, I couldn't carry that off. I couldn't carry a pink tie off for starters anyway.
Do you want to say silk purse? So was there. That's about me.
What time is the wedding?
This is my Friday attire, yeah.
Is this casual Friday?
It's casual Friday,
what
yeah.
do you wear on Monday?
T-shirt and a pair of shorts. I only work one day a week.
You upset Kevin Kilbane as soon as you came in. What did he say?
He said...
he said, who's Paul Weller? I have to Google his songs. Jesus, you've never heard of Paul Weller?
I've heard of him in the last 5 minutes, to be honest with you.
Oh,
You Do Something to Me came up. Is that as one of the songs?
Of course, that was his later stuff through the 90s, Wildwood and all that, but you don't know the Jam. You don't know
the Jam.
The Style Council.
You know what? I swear to God, music is not a forte. Either is GA or myself. just before you got in there. But yeah, no, I'm not a music man.
Well, we'll try and get you to a gig with Kev at some point. Next time Weller's back in town.
He's a great man for gigs.
Yeah.
You would love Weller.
I can dance. I can dance. Yeah.
I think we need to start him off gently, though. Really, I think you should be coming to Westlife with me tonight and building up to Weller.
No,
you can't go straight to Weller. You can't go straight to Weller.
I'm going to Westlife. I want to be fresh as a trout tomorrow for a big day.
That's
I'll
it.
be fresh too. I'm younger though, I can take it.
Yeah. Once I got 50, I can't go to concert. I can't do it anymore. Anyway.
Fresh as a trout for tomorrow, you'll need to be. It's going to be a war, I dare say. We want to touch on Dean Rock there a moment because the idea of free taking is an interesting one in the context of this game for Mayo tomorrow. Eamon Donoghue had a great piece in the Irish Times yesterday talking about the lack of left-footers in the team and how essentially if you're a team coming up against Mayo, you can let them play down the right-hand side of the pitch. You can foul them on the right-hand side of the pitch because there's a chance they won't be able to knock over the frees on the right-hand side of the pitch.
Yeah, and look, I have to, and you know what, from a journalism point of view, I think Eamon Donoghue's piece was fantastic because the amount of, that doesn't come out of your head.
No.
But again, that's the analysis that teams are doing, whether it's the Dublins or the Mayos or Galways this world, to say, where are the weakest? And, you know, as a coach, you'd say, if they're coming down the centre, which 50% of the time Mayo, you show them the left. You know, you want them to direct them into that kind of a side, our traffic, because from the stats that Eamon brought, it shows that Mayo are weak. As left-footers go, we have probably Aidan O'Shea, who's not our scoring left-footer. You'd have Kevin McLaughlin, and you know, after that, you're kind of saying to yourself,
Fionn as well. Fionn's obviously come down well this year. Yeah,
probably probably the one-sided left-footer, but it has. It's just, you go, it's not something that says, oh, we've noticed this. This is a constant trend, and teams will do it. Push them over to the right-hand side, box them out, but you need a free taker like Dean Rock coming on the last day after, you know, Cormac Costa has been the out-and-out free taker up to this, but to do what he did is just, and he goes, you know what, it's nothing special, but that's his job, and it's the bread and butter, and it's the one thing that Mayo have been lacking, especially from, you know, long-range frees. 40 yards, whether it's on the right or left. I think if I look back on the Armagh game, it was their centre back, I think, like Kenny O'Connor hasn't kicked the ball really in 12 months to the day. He had a free 40 yards out, left hand side.
I think it was actually 60 metres if you take the angle in.
Yeah.
You go the angle and you go, you know what, this is, you know, why did the Armagh half back? Yeah. And then you have a 22-yard free, your first kick, it gets you into the groove. And tomorrow night, from free taker perspective, you have Shane Walsh, who's phenomenally capable left and right. And it could come down to that, but look at, as we all know, and this tomorrow is, I have to say that I have rarely had as much talk or kind of built up enthusiasm for a game, because it's rivalry at its greatest, and probably the only great rivalry left to a degree, bar maybe Donegal, Tyrone, but it's phenomenal.
And it's knockout. First time in 20 years, it's full knockout between Mayo and Galway in the championship. You were playing that time in '99. That's
the last time that, yeah. And then you go to yourself, like, knockout is, I do care. You care. And you care about Galway from a Galway perspective. But if we beat Galway tomorrow night,
what? What happens then?
Because well, then you close your ears for 12 months, and that's rivalry at its greatest. Because I was in Galway yesterday, and one Galway person and myself started a conversation. There was 3-on-3 at the end of it, And someone's like, if you look at the towns and geographically side by side, whether it's Milltown and Ballandine, geez, that is rivalry at its greatest. But you know what, they love their sport. It's not that they hate each other.
Yeah.
But you go Kilbane, Shrule.
Shrule in itself.
Shrule is a country.
Glencorrib. Yeah.
But that's where are you from, Máire Treasa?
Carrow.
So you're you have no enemies really around you. But
we have Lettermode.
go over a hill or a valley, and all of a sudden you're towards Lenan, and who's, you know.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
What's your thoughts when you look at that picture? Who is that with you?
I'm not sure. You know what?
Gary Fahey, is it?
Was it?
No,
I was
it looks a bit like him. My eyes
you don't like to see a goal man on the ground, so you just pick him up. Come on. I was actually lifting him up, not putting him.
Michael Comer.
Is it Michael Comer?
Yeah.
Anyone like that?
Gary Fahey's around the fullback.
He's twice as fast as you. That's probably the last time I played. I remember I used to have the baby blue boots. I was going through
I was just going to say, you white boots there. Jeez, that must have been a very new thing in the GAA with the white and blue boots.
I was going through a late life crisis, if I'd say it. It was my last year, but look at every single game I've always played against Galway. I remember it.
Look at this.
That's it.
Give me a kiss to a Galway.
So, if the people say there's no love lost between Galway and Mayo, well, that's definitely an understatement. I had my jaw broken actually at that stage in that game. My jaw was actually broken.
Jeez.
And was
your jaw stuck in that kissing position then?
No,
is that
thanks
why?
to God. It was 24 hours later. I was in St James's Hospital. It wasn't long being put back in place. But it was I got an accidental clash and I didn't realise it. Well, I knew it myself, but I just said, right, there's something wrong here. But I think it was in the Connacht League. That was he's Coleman. He was actually a very good midfielder. But if the argy-bargy starts, you're going. The greatest lesson I was ever told was keep your hands by your side and your feet on your ground, and everything else goes. I suppose the kissing wasn't necessarily part of it. But look at, if you go down from '96, we played Galway in the Connacht final, and you're going, it's still there, the quality and the will to win. And look, there's injuries on both sides tomorrow. Who'll be back or who won't be back? It doesn't matter who's there. If you go and pick 15 people at the side of the road from both counties, you'll get a classic because it's everything. It is everything. Yeah. It's not about who's the best team tomorrow because the best teams aren't playing each other. Both teams have a lot of guys injured coming back, and it's still going to be down to football and everything else.
Flatrick on YouTube says 3 Ballina lads, Knocknacara crew heading to the golf and tuning into the gospel according to DB rather. Good to have you with us this morning, Flatrick.
You meant to see. Look, you're mixing the crack for the next 24 hours with the golf and GA between the Mayo lads and Galway lads and everything else is.
And don't forget, we've the Connacht final replay as well between the Galway ladies and Mayo ladies, and that's going to be mean.
It is.
There is a lot of bitterness between those two teams, in the best way.
It's good that you have the fulcrum of Limerick to say this is where it should be played. The replay. I think it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah. It's actually really good that both teams agreed to do it because it means then hopefully they'll get more of a crowd because I think people need to appreciate there's a brilliant rivalry between the Galway and Mayo ladies in the best possible way. Yeah. When I say it's mean, that once they go past that white line, they hate each other and you see great football. It's amazing to watch. In the last few years, it's swung back and forth between Galway and Mayo. Yeah. So, and the fact that it's a replay now as well brings an extra bit of bite. So I'm really looking forward to that one. It'll be a great appetite wetter.
It is. And like I said to someone, what time are you going to be in Limerick at? And he said, I'm going to be there around 2. I'm going, the game is until 7, but you have the other game at 4. But it's like, and the big thing around Limerick, and I remember from 2014, is everyone is outside the stadium. There's just hundreds, because there's not the local hostelry, no one knows the spots to go. It's just.
There's a Supermax next door though.
Well, yeah.
There is.
It'll be well needed if you're there for 5 or 6 hours tomorrow.
Would you be happy with the arrangement then going to Limerick for the game? How it come about?
You're a Galway manager, I'm Mayo manager. Can you take the gamble that you agree to toss, I agree to toss, and you lose and I win, and you're going?
I think if I was a Galway manager, I wouldn't think too badly about it because Mayo's home record isn't great.
It's not. This is not a normal game.
But you're still you're still going to Castlebar.
You are, yeah.
That's the
and
thing.
Galway have better than Castlebar.
Yeah.
Is there any room for gambling in this fixture? And that's what you're doing if you toss.
Yes, there is. There will be a gamble made on Aidan O'Shea's fitness. I think he's not going to start.
He will.
He will start.
Yeah.
So it's not a gamble. He's fully fit.
He's not fully fit.
So it is a gamble.
It's not a gamble.
But that's the case.
It's a needs must.
Season,
it's a needs must. And again, when you're going, it's not. You're not saying I have to start him from James Horan's perspective. It could be a case of serendipity where you're going, if he's not fully fit for the whole game, and I do think we need to focus on it. We haven't got the hand of cards that we like, but we need to have a fulcrum and a target man in the full forward line to keep Galway honest. And Galway have, for the last.
Sorry, you say target and a fulcrum in the full forward line. You mean?
Someone like if Aidan is
no chance to go in
at some stage, yes, and you'd like if there's a transgression in the game where you can go, if you can say right, if there's a place and a time where Aidan can sneak in over the back and say, Darren Cohen come out and play around centre forward and leave space inside for Aidan to hit one or two high balls, because the way Galway play is ideally suited, not for nothing else. That's been disingenuous, but it's ideally suited to beat Mayo. The way they actually pack the fence, frustrate, they're excellent tacklers. Excellent. They don't give away a lot of silly fouls. It takes away from the game when you have the likes of Shane Welch and Michael Daly and these guys coming back when they're so far away from goal. But it means if they can tease Mayo, and that's what teams have done, that's what Roscommon did, they tease Mayo up into Mayo's attacking half. And our half back line was disjointed. And then if you have quick delivery and you have pace, you can the transition then is a lot more. If you're practicing it all the time like Galway have, it's ideally suited. We can't from a Mayo perspective. It will be a dogfight, but we can't allow Galway do what they're good at doing. That's fast counteract. We need to hold our half back line. We have inexperience. We have guys that, like young Mikey Murray, didn't play a game in his life for Mayo. Up in league or FBD, he played a few minutes the week previous in Newry. But you're going, it's all hands on deck now because there is such a list of injuries that, and Killian coming back. But yeah, when do you need Killian coming on? Is he going to last 70 minutes? This game is not going to be. It's going to go down to the last. I do think that Killian will be better finishing out the game because that's when we have lost vital free kicks, that's when you need your bread and butter. That's when you need your men to stand up. We've ended up, and it's been wrong from a tactical point of view, that we haven't had a really out-and-out free taker. If we looked at the Roscommon game, the first opportunity that Kevin McLaughlin got for a free kick is the last kick of the game. You want to say 20 yards, 30 yards, my mind is, it's like whether it's a rugby penalty taker, consistent. You're into the flow, but it's hard to get into the flow in the last 10 minutes when you're the designated free taker and the pressure is on you.
So the best way for Mayo to win this game, as you've already said there, is to go at times route one, because to not allow Galway to go straight into that full forward line, it does seem like a fairly appealing prospect having Aidan O'Shea in there with someone like Andy Moore running off him. The problem is it's what you lose in midfield.
Yeah, and what do you need in midfield? Like you're going to have aerial combat. You're going to have high kicks, kickouts from David Clark and the Galway goalkeeper as well, which you go to yourself, that's an aerial jewel. But you want athleticism. You want someone that can maintain the runs and cover the runners coming back. And I think with Matthew Rowan gone, it's put a lot of onus on Aidan to be getting back more often because he is the only standout out-and-out midfielder. If you have the likes of Stephen Cohen, and people say about Stephen Cohen for Mayo, he's okay. Okay is good when you're competing against the best in the country. And he has athleticism and he's an engine. If he can get up and down and track the guys making the runs back, and if he can do the engine work for Aidan, you have Donny Vaughan, who is back, which is a positive. You have young Mikey Murray, who played midfield. Got biggest game of his life against Armagh. It didn't go as well as you'd like it, but he's an option. You need athletes. Lee is gone for 4 to 6 weeks, so he's not the option for midfield.
What about Doherty as well? How's Jason Doherty? Jason
is good. Yeah from what now. I'm not been told direct, but I asked a few questions left and right, and you get I think Jason is good. Yeah. They didn't need to train this week. From a Galway perspective, Comer is back. He played 16 minutes with his club last weekend. His physicality is going to test Mayo because you have Keith and Brendan Harrison in the full back line, and Chris Barr. Chris picked him up before. Did in the first 12 minutes, the last time they played last year, Comer was on fire. It kind of came back to a degree where Chris did well. I don't think our units, our back units, are playing as good as they should in the last 1 or 2 games, and it's probably because we're not getting the help from our half forward line to a degree, or our midfielders coming back. Matthew Roon's a major loss for a guy in his first championship season.
Yeah.
To lose someone and you're going, he's done phenomenally well.
I would say that that's kind of unfair on the back players, just for the pure reason that Armagh, like I was watching them last Saturday night, they were beautiful. Just some of the football they've played was sublime, to the point where even those of us who were watching were nearly shocked at how quickly they moved. Like Rian O'Neill in particular, have to be an exceptional full back line to have been on top of them for the whole game.
Yeah, we had 3 markers in the first 28 minutes on Rian O'Neill, and we couldn't handle him.
Yeah, now, like he's exceptional.
He is, but you're going, did we allow him too much space? Where was our double? For someone like that, you need to be getting a second and third man focused on who's hot. Whoever's hot, I want someone coming on him immediately once he gets the ball. I want to track him back to say, right, don't allow him get the ball, try and cut off his runs. But from that, you're kind of saying, Armagh were very good. Every team that Mayo play, every single goddamn team that they play, the opposition is very good because they're allowed play. That is the reality. Whether it's the Durries, whether it's the Armaghs, whether it's the Cavans, whether it's the Tipperaries, whether it's the lesser teams, always play well because they're allowed.
Can we call Armagh a lesser team?
I actually do.
I don't know if that's fair, the way Armagh have come on the last in the championship.
I think Armagh are the best team that Mayo have beaten in the qualifier run over the last 4 years.
I think so, yeah. I think Armagh were at a different level.
But then Galway would also be the best team. Like I think this is the toughest qualifier run that Mayo have had to go on, like if you include 2016 and 17.
You know what? If you look at what's ahead of you too, you're going to yourself, both teams. Like it's getting back on the bike from a Galway perspective, and it's trying to keep the bike on the road from a Mayo perspective, because that is a long journey, and you're taking a lot of, I am being disingenuous to Armagh. I don't think Armagh they've won 1 championship game in most of this year.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, if I was from Mayo perspective, I'd be saying we played and managed to beat a really good team last Saturday night. That's going to stand to them much more than the other nearly ones they've had, or the near losses. This was a really good one for Mayo to win, albeit, and people will say this is a bitter Galwegian. Let's not forget that the Mayo goal came from 11 steps. But that's neither here nor there.
I wouldn't say 11, 10.
10 steps. Mayo won't mind. Now, they're through and whatever, and the play was great, and the build-up to it was fantastic, and the finish was amazing. That's neither here nor there. But if little fine margins, that was the difference. Or like you said, when Cillian O'Connor had that free, that was his opportunity, and to go messing about and then to move the ball in front of the goal, that gave Mayo, I think, maybe the gate into the next round of the qualifiers. I think
the width of the crossbar when Johnny Heaney was playing the last game in the National League. If it had went under the bar an inch lower, Mayo weren't in the National League final. Yeah, it went over the bar, and it made that on points difference Mayo were. And there's the National League. There's no one holding on to the coattails of a National League win now. It's got, and the one thing that has happened time and time again, and look we don't hate each other. We hate losing against each other. That's an important fact. But there has been a bite and a niggle over the last couple of years where Keith Higgins, Dermot O'Connor has just, for not even a moment of madness, you can't do it. And that niggle will be there, but the stakes are, I think, a lot higher tomorrow. So guys won't be stepping across that line or even thinking about it. But there'll be no love lost.
It's 7 consecutive wins for Galway in this fixture, which is an incredible stat. They have to do something different here, Mayo, tomorrow.
It's too late to do something different, really. You have to mix it about and say, right, are we looking for maybe a more direct? Darren Cohen is on fire. So you say to yourself, whoever is hot, feed him.
David, why has he not been involved? He was 27, I think, now, Darren Cohen. Why has he been left aside for the last, 4 or 5 years, really?
From my perspective, if you're coming in as a Mayo manager and you're after reaching 4 Ireland finals in 6 years around, you're going, have you got the cards, have you got the latitude to say, I'm going to change things around? It's hard to say, well, these guys got to an Ireland final, and then Stephen Rothwell comes in the following year. it's not really broken. But
you would argue the fact you didn't win shows something wasn't working.
But do you change the whole recipe then to create?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. And it's from a manager's point of view, and it was consistent enough from Stephen throughout getting to the All Irelands, and then you go, well, James Horn has come in. He's got that little bit of, he knows the vast majority of the guys. He has been able to shake it up a little bit. I like the fact there's a young guy there called Kieran Tracy, who probably wasn't dominant the last day, but his forward ability is phenomenal. I have to say, pound for pound, he is probably one of our most, the only out and out forward we'd have to a degree now with Andy and now with Fionn McDonough. But he is capable of great things. You have to introduce something. You have to challenge the guys on the bench. Guys like Kevin McLaughlin was dropped.
Yeah.
Probably for the first time in his career last weekend. And only for him.
But he struggled against Roscommon. He struggled against Down as well, didn't he?
And we haven't seen him in the role where he has been playing deep, sitting in front of his full back line. Will it happen tomorrow? You know what? They have the options. But it's going to come down to just football. It's not going to come down to, it's going to play and simple football. Whoever makes the least mistakes in the last 10 minutes, and Mayo haven't been game smart. People will.
Oh no, they were very game smart in the last few minutes.
Last
Saturday night.
If you're 4 points up with 11 minutes to go.
Yeah. That was the thing. Mayo should have won handily against Armagh. I know you're saying Armagh were great, they played well, but Mayo, going into the last 10 minutes, it felt once they went 4 points up, that was it. The game was done, and it should have been done in my mind.
Then you become game smart.
Well, I know you were talking about it this week, about that idea of being game smart, about being cynical, about knowing how to manipulate the time that the referee will add on to be able to manipulate situations. The way that Dublin managed to manipulate Mayo when it came down to the very last moments of the All-Ireland in, 2017 at this point. Yeah. Like, that's what good teams do, and it's not a criticism, or it's not necessarily saying this marks, something that we should kind of frown and shake our heads at when it comes to Mayo. Like, I mean, surely you accept that they're able to kind of manipulate things quite well, Mayo.
If they weren't, they shouldn't be at the level they are. And every team in the country has a flip chart, and they go, right, Máire Treasa, give me 2 examples how we can be cute and smart in the last 10. Kev, give me 3 more.
Yeah.
Let's work it and let's do 5. And let's actually run through them in a game. So us 10 will play them 10. We're smart, you play football. And it's a known in the zone. And if you go back, and we're going back to the place on Saturday night, Limerick, the most game smart team, one of them I ever seen, was Kerry in that final 10 minutes, and they did everything perfect. And Aidan O'Mahony, I remember him with the Mayor Ishka come in, and that's always a great man to get involved in a bring him in at any opportunity, bring him into the pushing and the shoving, so it creates.
The Mayo selector was well involved as well that day.
Who was this?
Well, what's his name?
He was brought into it.
Yeah, just before Mayo Mick inserted himself in the situation.
Mayo Mick is coming back to Limerick tomorrow. And you know what?
In a wig.
No, he's allowed in. He's allowed in. Yeah, the ban is over. you go to 2 Mayo games, you'll have about 200 people around Kevin Kilbane, but tomorrow there'll be 2,500 around Mayo Mick. He's back to where he belongs. The bull will be kept in the cage until the final whistle. It is a major, major, major ask for Mayo, from a Mayo perspective. Not alone is there 5 starters out, but there's like 2 or 3 of their main players only coming back. That's half your team that you're versus, like, there's injuries in the Galway side. Okay, yeah, my heart will say definitely Mayo. And this whole thing about guts and balls and determination, it still comes down to football. But I'm saying this is as big as a task has been handed to any Mayo team in a long time, because their backs are to the wall. Maura?
For the women, I'm going for Galway, just for the pure reason I think they're a year ahead of the Mayo ladies. And after all the crack of last year and everything, I just think they survived the scare 2 weeks ago. The women should do it. And the men, when I was here a few weeks ago before the Connacht final, no one asked me who'd win, and I said I thought Roscommon would win. I just felt there was something there. The difference is now that I and nobody else knows what Galway are like right now, because that second half display against Roscommon, we cannot say that is Galway. So we don't know where they are. But cheapers. I just think Mayo will do it.
Okay,
you're like me. You're an old promoter.
No, I'm not promoting. I just think the reason I think Mayo will do it is that they just have more experience of these tight corners than this Galway team.
You can only run into the corner so many times and you realise.
I know, but
there's no way out.
They just have the rub of the green a lot of the times. They do.
No chance.
They've gotten to the All-Ireland final how many years because of the rub of the green?
You're calling Galway as well?
Well, they're overwhelming favourites.
Overwhelming
favourites.
Yeah.
Well, no, I know the odds won't say that.
Yeah,
but if you look at the teams and if you look at Mayo's injury crisis, it's nothing but a crisis.
It is.
That Galway are overwhelming favourites for this game, and I'm not just saying because David's in. I'm not saying because David's in. What he's saying there is, if Mayo win the game, it will be an unbelievable achievement if they win this game.
I'm telling you now, and it's not to say it's to exactly where they are and where they have been blow after blow after blow. Like there's in the reality terms, there should be no way.
Mayo are favourites.
What is the spread?
1.
See,
Mayo -1.
Mayo -1.
They see that's not right. That's skewed. That's Galway on the spread are a great bet. They are a great bet.
You don't know what type of Galway team is going to turn up, except when they play Mayo. That is a constant, and always has been a constant, and is a constant with their manager and Kevin Walsh, and with their players.
But if you were to look at it in black and white terms and performance over the championship so far and the league, you'd have to go for Mayo.
We're going to have to leave that there. I just want to get one word answers on the other 3 games. Tyrone, Cavan, Clare Laois and Meath Clare. Who's going through to the Super 8s alongside Galway?
Tyrone. I'd love to see Clare. I would love.
I fancy Clare. I think
Colin Collins has done a phenomenal job. Last game then is.
Sorry, I said
Cork and Laois.
Sorry, I said Clare twice there. It's Cork Laois.
Yeah, Cork Laois. Cork. Yeah, it'd be good to see Cork in the Super 8s. Look, good to see Laois as well, but it'd be good to see them back and getting that lift. But I do think it's great to have Meath or Clare going to be in the Super 8s. Great for in the next few years developing and the experience it gets. But this is a great weekend, and I can't. Minors tonight, Galway Mayo 7:30 in Tuam. Tomorrow evening 7 o'clock, and Sunday we'll go to Mass and thank God then. For the right result. Fair play to you.